Imagine standing in a place so remote that the closest human beings aren't on Earth, they're orbiting hundreds of kilometers above you. Welcome to Point Nemo. The most isolated place on our planet. A place so distant from civilization that reaching it is one of the greatest challenges on Earth, and yet, almost nobody has ever been there. In the endless blue of the South Pacific Ocean, far from shipping lanes, far from islands, far from cities, lies a location unlike any other. It has no buildings, no people, no airports, no ports, no permanent life. Just water, in every direction, for thousands of kilometers. Point Nemo isn't an island. It's not even something you can see, it's simply a set of coordinates. A point in the ocean farther from land than anywhere else on Earth. The nearest pieces of land are all more than 2,600 kilometers away. To put that into perspective, that's farther than the distance from New York to Denver, or from London to Moscow. Because it's so isolated, very few ships ever pass nearby. Commercial aircraft rarely fly overhead. Even marine life is less abundant than in many other parts of the ocean. The waters around Point Nemo contain fewer nutrients, making it one of the least biologically productive regions on the planet. It is, in many ways, a blue desert. But here's where the story becomes even stranger. At times, the closest people to Point Nemo aren't sailors. They're astronauts aboard the International Space Station, orbiting roughly 400 kilometers above Earth, while the nearest humans on the surface remain thousands of kilometers away. It's one of the only places on Earth where space can be closer than civilization. So why does Point Nemo matter? Because humans found an unexpected use for it, one that sounds like science fiction. When satellites, spacecraft, and space stations reach the end of their lives, they can't simply stay in orbit forever. Eventually, many are guided back toward Earth, but where do you safely drop something falling from space? Not over cities, not over busy shipping routes, and certainly not over populated land. The answer is Point Nemo. Often called the spacecraft cemetery, this remote region has become the final resting place for hundreds of human-made objects, old satellites, cargo spacecraft, and even large sections of space stations, all intentionally directed toward this isolated stretch of ocean. One of the most famous examples was the Russian space station Mir. After 15 years in orbit, it was deliberately brought back to Earth in 2001. Its remains fell into the waters near Point Nemo, far from anyone who could be harmed. Future missions may follow the same path, including parts of larger orbital structures once their missions come to an end. For engineers, Point Nemo is one of the safest places on Earth for controlled re-entries. Reaching Point Nemo isn't easy. There are no scheduled flights, no cruise destinations, no rescue stations nearby. Expeditions require careful planning and days of travel across open ocean. The nearest help is always very far away. In this part of the Pacific, you're truly on your own. Despite its emptiness, Point Nemo has captured the imagination of writers and explorers. Some stories describe it as mysterious. Others imagine creatures hidden beneath its waters. But in reality, its greatest mystery isn't what lives there, it's how completely isolated it is. The ocean covers more than 70% of Earth's surface. Yet places like Point Nemo remind us how much of our own planet still feels beyond reach. Not because it's hidden underground or locked behind fences, but because it's simply too far away. In a world connected by satellites, fiber optic cables, and instant communication, Point Nemo remains one of the last places where isolation still exists. A place where silence stretches farther than the horizon, where the nearest neighbors may be traveling through space, and where the vastness of our planet becomes impossible to ignore. Sometimes, The greatest mysteries aren't hidden. They're simply far away. Hidden places. Unanswered questions. Veiled frame. Subscribe for what's next.